wanted to transition to a non-sports topic for a few minutes. Occasionally I'll do this, talk about something regarding culture or even politics if it's relevant. Last year I did some election coverage. Did my best Anderson Cooper impression, I guess. But a story that broke a few weeks ago, and I did want to get a chance to talk about when I came back on the show, was the Stephen Colbert late night show getting canceled. So, and again, it's not, people have, some folks have misconstrued this. Colbert himself is not getting canceled. The Late Show, as a franchise on CBS, is done after this coming May. And so it's going to be canceled. And obviously stems back to CBS came out with a statement and they said, hey, this is financially motivated. And that's not entirely false. It's not. I mean, I'm looking at an article right here from the New York Post that even though Stephen Colbert was the number one late night talk show over Jimmy Fallon, over Jimmy Kimmel, sources indicate that the show was losing a significant amount of money, potentially between $40 million and $50 million annually. That's not so much as, now that's more than Kimmel and Fallon, by the way, just for the record. But late night television, that's the kind of want to hammer on first, and then we'll get to the Colbert part of it and the CBS part of it. But late night television as an industry, it's had an expiration date for some time now. And I say, listen, I say this with no satisfaction. I've never said this on the show before, but when I first decided a few years ago that what I'm doing right now, talking behind a mic, is something that I wanted to do for a living, that was like the absolute apex goal. Late night show host. Like, you know them, you say their name one time, you know who they are. Carson, Letterman, Leno, Kimmel, Colbert. Like, you know that Stewart, you know the names. And like that was the goal. And that's in short order, that's not going to be a part of our pop culture anymore. And it's unfortunate because it has been for decades upon decades. That's just the podcast industry. Podcast industry has destroyed a lot of entertainment business. It's kind of killed cable television outside of politics in a lot of ways. Like, it just has. But podcasts, it's longer form content. You're not running the commercial breaks. You can curse on podcasts. You can go into deeper conversations, deeper interviews with your guests than you would be able to on a late night or even just a general daytime talk show. Because again, you got ads, like you're running into commercial breaks, you're on a tight schedule, all the things that live TV, has to offer in that regard. And so late night television in and of itself is dying and has been dying probably since COVID. Podcasts, I started my show right before COVID. Podcasts from that point on have just exploded. Because you don't have to stay up till 11:30 at night to watch. You can listen to it on the way to work. You can listen to it during a workout. Like, that's the beauty of podcasting, and that's why it's really become the premier outside of live sports and live big political events. That's really what people turn to nowadays for their digital entertainment. I mean, streaming the whole bit. And so that in and of itself has killed late night television. Colbert just happens to be the first casualty. But that's not an accident that Colbert is. So I'll say this about Stephen. Obviously, I don't know him. From afar, character-wise, I really admire him. I think, again, from afar, I don't know him. Seems to be a nice guy, very, very intelligent guy. Like, his satire on the Colbert Report, when he was literally playing a character, post Daily Show days with Jon Stewart, he was literally playing a character, kind of like a discount Bill O'Reilly sort of deal on his show. And then he gets his own show on CBS, and it's kind of gets off to a rocky start. You got to realize he's replacing a legend in David Letterman. So that comes with its own pressure. And also it's, okay, I've played somebody who isn't me for so long, for a decade, basically. Okay, I got to be myself now. Not that Colbert couldn't do it. It was just a weird transition for his already existing fan base. And then, like it was for a lot of folks of the sensibility that Stephen Colbert is, the 2016 election was kind of a blessing for folks like him, where it's, okay, so we're basically the opposition to Trump. And Colbert had the live reaction to Trump winning on Showtime on election night 2016. And that kind of, the next show he did from that point on, he's pretty much been the number one late night show host over Kimmel and Fallon since then, because it's the current climate where politics is number one in a lot of folks' eyes in the entertainment space outside of sports has played to his strengths and to his sensibilities and his everything he's good at. But because of the diminishment of the late night industry in and of itself, it has hurt his show. It has hurt his ratings. It's hurt everybody's show in that regard. What you cannot say, and CBS has tried to cover for this, and this is kind of the part that I really wanted to make sure gets out there, is that, they had the $16 million settlement with CBS and 60 Minutes for how they edited the Kamala Harris interview during the campaign. And I mean, if you look into that, it's like, the CBS doesn't look the greatest there. And Trump sued them. And, rather than standing by their journalist, they decide to cave financially to Trump. And obviously, there's a sale going on with CBS parent company, Paramount CBS, that involves Trump. He has to approve it and all those things. It's not a coincidence that 3 days prior to the late night show getting canceled, Colbert rips CBS, rips Paramount for the settlement with Trump. Colbert obviously is no fan of the president. It goes to show that, and we've known this, at least I've known this for years when it comes to the current administration, the current president, to be more specific. Obviously, he's a man who cares about loyalty. Obviously, he's a man who is, he's got his MAGA base. He's got his MAGA backers in the Senate, in the House, and to a degree, even in the Supreme Court, and all of these different things. What is, to me, amazing that big corporations seem to not understand about this man, that's so apparently obvious. There's no level of capitulation that is good enough for him. None. I saw the other day, Senator from Missouri, Josh Hawley, about as MAGA Republican as it gets. I mean, he is like, he's been one of the OG Trump supporters in the Senate. Votes along with the Democrats on a bill that would restrict, stock trading in advance by the Senate. I'm reading this article from CNN right now, have it pulled up, that folks from both sides of the aisle have said, hey, they're trying to ensure members of Congress and senators who are here for public service cannot enrich themselves, investing in stocks, to ban stock trading. Trump ripped Josh Hawley. One infraction. And this is what I get really irritated, and especially during the campaign. I know Robert F. Kennedy Jr. brought this up, that Trump is a defender of free speech. Two things can be true. The left's recent track record with free speech isn't great. When you see how comedians have been treated, not so much recently, but in years past, the Dave Chappelle's of the world, like, again, and I'm not saying I even agree with all of Chappelle's jokes related to the trans community and whatever the case may be, but he does have the right to say what he says in joke fashion. By the way, I think that's the job of comedians, is to rip everybody. You laugh when it's somebody else, somebody you don't like, but now it's a problem if it's you or somebody you do like. Okay, fine. Track record hasn't been great in the left when it comes to free speech. Trump's the model. Donald Trump, the same guy who, again, Josh Hawley's a prime example. You come out against this guy once, rips you to shreds on Truth Social. I mean, he called a Hawley like a second-rate senator, which is mild for Donald Trump. Like that is nothing compared to some of the insults he has levied out against. I mean, the man said that Ted Cruz, when he was running against him in 2016, said that Ted Cruz was his dad was involved in the JFK assassination and attacked Ted Cruz's wife, and Ted Cruz still backs him, and it's never enough. It's never enough. So when you see these big corporations caving to him in the way that they are, and again, Colbert's show, unfortunately, like Kimmel Show, like Fallon Show, like the late night industry as a whole, has an expiration date, and it's coming soon because, in large part, due to the podcast industry. Late night's been dying for some time now. The fact that Stephen was the first major casualty was not an accident. Was intentional on the part of this president and this administration. He will defend free speech if it's supporting him. Come against him one time. I mean, shoot, they didn't come against him. They had nothing to do with him. NFL players kneel during the national anthem, regardless of your feelings on it. They certainly have the right to do that. That's their First Amendment right. Trump calls them SOBs. Says they need to be fired. Exercising their First Amendment right. SOBs. Interesting. So, says he's not going to fund, a new stadium for the Washington Commanders if they don't go back to the old team name that involves, I don't know, a racial slur. That's your defender of free speech? Trump is a lot of things. A defender of the First Amendment is not one of them. And so, listen, I hate it for Stephen. Stephen's personal story is inspiring. The fact that he lost his father and two brothers in a plane crash early on. He had a great segment years ago with Anderson Cooper. I think it was after Anderson Cooper's mother, Gloria Vanderbilt, passed away, about grief and learning to love the thing that you miss the most, learning to love the thing that you lost. And like Stephen is a deep, intellectual, really, really smart guy. And so I hate that he was, nothing against Kimmel and Fallon, but I do hate that Stephen was kind of the first one to go. I hate that the late night show in of itself, with David Letterman before that, and obviously Johnny Carson. Like, I hate that that's coming to an end as someone who enjoys late night television, has my whole life. But folks acting as if this has nothing to do with the president's own insecurities are lying to themselves. He has the thinnest skin of any leader that office has had. We have not had somebody attack the First Amendment outside of John Adams and Woodrow Wilson ever in American history in the executive branch. Come after him one time. He is coming for your neck. So that's who he is. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.